I like Amazon a lot. If you log in at the blackstockmarketprogram.com, you can find, look under what Dr. Boyce is buying. I put a list of stocks there. These are the stocks that I really like, in the sense that these are like those hidden gems that you're not going to hear about in the headlines of a newspaper, but the analysts love these companies. The analysts are expecting these companies to pop at any minute. So like that company I mentioned earlier, IGM Pharmaceuticals, is one of those companies that based on the people that know that company really well, they believe that this company could really blow up and take off. Okay, so ultimately, it's a little bit of a mix of the two. All right, so let's see. Jan Jasmine, Mr. Jan Jasmine says, what is a backdoor Roth IRA? I don't know what I'm not sure about the backdoor part. I know what a Roth IRA is. Basically, you have a Roth IRA and the traditional IRA. And the traditional IRA says that you can defer your taxes. You can use pre-tax income to invest in the IRA, which means you don't pay taxes now, but you pay taxes later. The Roth IRA means that you pay your taxes now, but you don't pay your taxes at the end. You don't pay your taxes at withdrawal. The backdoor Roth IRA, don't know much about that. I just, maybe I missed that part of class or something, but I never heard about backdoor Roth IRA. So let me see here. The definition: backdoor Roth IRA is not an official type of IRA. Instead, it is an informal name for a complicated method used by high income. Let me see. I'm reading this here off of Investopedia. A high income. Let's see here. A backdoor Roth IRA is not a traditional a traditional IRA. It's an informal name for a complicated method used by high income taxpayers to create a permanently tax-free Roth IRA, even if their incomes exceed the limits. Brokerages and investment firms that offer both traditional and Roth IRAs provide assistance in pulling off the strategy, which basically involves converting a traditional IRA into the Roth variety. Keep in mind, this is not a tax dodge. When you transfer the assets of a traditional Roth to a Roth, you owe taxes in that tax year on any funds, as well as on earnings and appreciation in those transferred assets. So when you pull the money out of the traditional, you're going to have to pay taxes on that, because that's going to be counted as income. That's what they're saying. If the IRA has been funded solely with tax deductible contributions, then the entire value of the transferred asset will be taxed. However, as with any Roth IRA, if you follow the rules, then you should owe no further taxes when you withdraw the money. So the key takeaways they have here are that backdoor Roth IRAs are not a special type of IRA. They are both Roth IRAs, they are Roth IRAs that hold assets originally contributed to a regular IRA and subsequently held after an IRA transfer or conversion in a Roth IRA. A backdoor Roth IRA is a legal way to get around the income limits that normally prevent high earners from owning Roth IRAs. A backdoor Roth, okay, so what they're saying is, it sounds like they're saying that a backdoor Roth IRA means that you put your money in a traditional IRA, you pull it out, and then you pay the taxes on the income like you're supposed to, and then you take that taxed income and you put it into a Roth IRA, which means that you're not going to be taxed when you pull the money out. So apparently, what this does, and I'm just now learning this along with you, is it seems to me that what it does is it allows you to get past the income limit. It doesn't necessarily seem to minimize your tax bill, but it seems to allow you to get past the income limit that wealthy people have to deal with. And then also, don't forget that another thing that I mentioned to you guys before is the Wall Street Journal was writing about how a lot of wealthy people, they do a strategy called buy, borrow, and die, where they'll go buy a bunch of assets, and then when they want extra income, they'll borrow against those assets, and then they just die and pass the assets to their kids, and their kids don't have to pay taxes on those assets. They're allowed to own those assets with a new basis of taxation that's based on where the value of the asset was when their parents died, not the value where the asset was when they first bought it. So what does that mean? That means that if I buy something that's worth $100,000 and I never sell it, I hold it, and then when I die, it's worth $1 million. Well, when I pass it to my kids, if the child sells it the next day for $1 million, the IRS will assume that they had no capital gains, because the capital gains was actually earned by me, but I'm dead at that point, and my child is not responsible for any tax bill. In a way, it's kind of like how white people look at reparations. That's kind of, honestly, I think that's how they look at it, right? They're like, well, yeah, I got all this property and all this wealth passed to me because it was stolen from all these black people, but I didn't steal it, so I'm not responsible. I get to keep owning my stuff, right? So the argument that people are making, obviously, with reparations is, no, that's not your stuff. That's somebody else's stuff. Even if somebody passed it down to you, so you still owe. You have to pay the debt that they didn't want to pay. So that's kind of what it is. All right. So next question is, let's see. The next question I see here is, when is the stock market crashing and why? Asked Carl. Well, right now it looks like it's crashing pretty good. I don't know if we're officially in the bear market or anything, but it's been getting hit pretty hard. It could keep getting hit pretty hard. I believe that there's going to be some good news at some point that will be kind of like not so much good news as much as it is simply less bad news than what was expected. A lot of people believe the market has hit a bottom. There's a guy named Tom Lee from Strat Fund or something, like, or I forgot. But anyway, he basically believes that the Dow is going to close at a really high level, that the market's going to recover, and everything's going to be great this year. It's pretty optimistic, but it's a possibility. So I would say, what I'm doing basically is I'm buying things and holding like I always do. I don't change my strategy that much based on the economic conditions. I do the same thing consistently every year, and because that's a winning strategy long term. Adam, good morning. I'm focusing on buying and holding long-term stocks to pay out dividends. What do you think about this plan? What? Oh, okay. You want to buy and hold long-term stocks that pay dividends. I think that's good. I think dividend-paying stocks are okay. The hard part is that you have to own a lot of dividend-paying stocks to really, for the dividend to really make a difference in your life. So a lot of times, if I have dividend-paying stocks, I just reinvest those dividends anyway. But dividend-paying stocks are pretty good in this kind of economy because dividend is a way of getting ROI, return on investment, in a market that isn't giving a lot of ROI. There's not a lot of wealth being handed out by the stock market right now. So dividends or selling call options like we do in the Prime program. By the way, if you want to learn about it, just go to drboyceprime.com, or you can go to my website. But anyway, basically the goal is to get your money out as quick as you can, or in any way that you can. So also, notice companies are doing buybacks. That's another way that they give ROI to their investors during a bad economy. The last thing that they're doing is a lot of companies are doing stock splits. Stock splits are another way they try to generate ROI. And the reason they're doing this is because the number one goal of the manager of the company is to maximize the wealth of the shareholders. At least that's what Milton Friedman said at the University of Chicago. I don't agree with that, by the way. I think that is a very narrow way to define a company's purpose, but that's what a lot of people believe. So the managers of the company work for you. That's the point. You own stock, they work for you. So you got white people working for you and black people working for you and Asian people working for you if you own stock. And so when they're working for you, their job is to get you a return on your investment. If you don't get a good return on your investment, that means they haven't done a good job. So what happens is when the market's flying high, it's easy. It's like, yeah, your stock went up by 15% last year. So you're happy, you're cheering. The shareholders meeting, all the shareholders are happy. They vote and support the management, all that. But when the market's dying like this, or kind of getting bloody and just chaotic, well, then everybody's looking for somebody to blame. So the managers are afraid, oh my God, they're going to fire me if I don't find a way to get them some ROI, some return on investment. So what they might do is they try creative ways to do that. That's where stock buybacks come into play. When companies buy back their shares, it creates an automatic boost in the stock price, and that's a good way to get ROI. Another method is stock splits. Stock splits are literally a sleight of hand magic trick. Theoretically speaking, a stock split is not supposed to increase the value of the stock at all, but it does increase the value of the stock. There are different reasons that people believe that this happens. One is what they call the clientele effect, that literally when the stock price drops, you're attracting a different clientele who will now want to go buy the stock and increase the demand for that stock, so it can push the price up because more people want it, because more people feel like, oh, well, now that the price is only $50 a share as opposed to $3,000 a share, I want to go buy some of that stock. Another one is what they call the signaling effect. The signaling effect says that when I split my stock as a manager, I'm really signaling to you. I'm sending you a signal, a smoke signal, to say, I've seen the company's prospects and I know that they're good. Right? Remember, the manager of the company can look into like these little binoculars and see what's going to happen with the company. And you can't see in those binoculars. You can only watch the reaction of the person who's looking into the binoculars. So if I look in some binoculars and if you're like, hey, Boyce, what do you see? And I look and I'm like, whoo, 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 right? And I do that, right? You're like, oh, it must be something good. right? Or if I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Then you're going to say, oh, that must be something bad. So what I've done is I've signaled to you what I'm seeing, right? So when companies split their stock, there's some that believe, according to the signal and effect theory, this is all the stuff that we were writing research papers on when I was at Syracuse, is the signal and effect makes them believe that the prospects are good. All's good in the hood. The company stock is going to go up. That's why they're splitting it, because the price is going to be so high. They need to keep the share price down. So investors will automatically buy that stock because of that signaling. The other thing that's interesting that happens too is, if you notice, when a company splits their stock, they're all over the headlines. When Google and Amazon and Tesla split their stock, they were talking about it a lot in the media. And some people believe that when there's a lot of chatter about a stock in the media, it could boost the stock price. I think the results on that are kind of mixed, though. I don't know if that's 100% true. So let's see. You asked about, Adam, you were asking about the stocks, Target, Micron, and Qualcomm. I don't know much about Micron, but I could say Target and Qualcomm are companies that I've heard their names in this economy, and I do like both of those companies. Micron, I don't know much about that right now. Ask the question again next week. Try to ask about one stock at a time. That way I can research it for you. That's a benefit of being in this class, is that I'll research stocks for you and I'll tell you what I think. But yeah, so ask me about Micron next week and I'll look it up for you. Maurice, I know you said only two stocks. Or okay, Maurice says two stocks. So maybe I said two. All right, so let's make it two. But let's see. But I came across Breeze and couldn't help but to ask you about it. It's a new airline company. I don't like the word new. I just don't. Um, I just think the word new, when it comes to a stock right now, is just bad. I don't believe, I'm just nervous about any companies that haven't been around for a while. You asked about another company called Joby Aviation. It's a very small company. They're losing money. That's a warning sign, because remember, I mentioned to you all that these companies that are losing money, they're going to get hit the hardest in this economy. It's like, think about it like on your job. If the company starts losing money, who are they going to fire first? The most productive person on the team, or the person who's been involved in quiet quitting? You heard about the quiet quitting phenomenon, right? So the person who quietly quit their job, who really isn't doing anything above the bare minimum, or the person who goes above and beyond, who are they gonna fire first? Well, they're gonna fire the person who quietly quit, the person who's doing the bare minimum. So a lot of these companies that are losing money are not just doing the bare minimum, they're doing below the bare minimum. They're not just not generating a profit, they're literally generating a loss, and that loss has to be covered. Everything has to be paid for. So when they're losing money, the bank is giving them enough money to function when they can't function themselves. Okay. So I see some of you asked about a stock in the chat. Log in at the blackstockmarketprogram.com, and you can leave me the stock that you want me to look up. If you just ask me about it right off the top of the dome right now, I don't know, because there's thousands of stocks. So I'd actually have to look it up. But if you log in at the blackstockmarketprogram.com, you can leave it for me. I'll look it up and I'll come to class with an answer as to whether or not I would buy that stock or not. This is not investing advice, but it is something where where I just tell you what I would do. Right. And also the other thing too is if you log in at the blackstockmarketprogram.com, you'll also see every week what Dr. Boyce is buying. That's where I give you at least 4 or 5 stocks that I just really like. Some of them I buy, some of them I don't. But I picked them because I've done my research on them, and these look like hidden gems. And what I like about the hidden gems is that some of them are like these small companies with tremendous upside. And I believe that when these companies, when the market like starts to really do what I think it's going to do eventually, maybe it might be a year from now, it might be 2 years from now, I don't know. But when the market really starts to rise and the sun comes out, these are going to be the flowers that blossom the most. These are going to be the stocks that go way up in the market. One of the things you have to understand is that there is a huge, what they call correlation across all the stocks. It's like they're in a big economic ocean. And when the tide is high, all the boats rise. A lot of them rise. So for example, last Friday, when Jay Powell gave that speech and said, I'm going to keep hammering away on interest rates and inflation, even if it kills the economy, almost every stock went down. Even the companies that had good news, even the ones that made money. It's like when they go and they lock up black men in the hood, they lock up everybody. They don't just lock up the ones that they think might have done it. You know how racism works, right? They'll just go and scoop up 50 of them, round them all up, right? Well, that's kind of what they do with the stock market. Every single stock got indicted damn near. I think there was only 5 companies out of thousands that went up that day. Almost every single company went down. That is not accurate. That is an overreaction. That is an overgeneralization. So the reason that, so I like when guys like Jim Cramer say, there's a bull market somewhere, I promise to help you find it. I like that statement because in the middle of all this chaos, where there's this massive police sweep where all the stocks got sent downward, there are some good companies in there that are like, hey, I didn't do anything wrong. We're actually making lots of money right now and we're doing pretty well. So those are the companies that you look for. And when you own those companies, then when the sun comes out and the market's kind of sorting through which companies should have got hammered the most, they realize, oh, wait, this company's actually pretty good. And then next thing you know, you're making money because you bought the good company. Right. So that ability to kind of discern that's one of the value added pieces. In case you're wondering about the value added that comes with being in the Black Stock Market program, that's one of the things that I do for you is pick out companies that are identified as the diamonds in the rough or the ones that are going to do best when the market takes off. So take advantage of your membership. Log in. There's a ton of content. Every single lecture I've done, damn near, I think almost every single one, I've recorded every single one. So you can literally go back 5 years. And I've been doing this consistently almost every week. For many, many years. So all that information, all that knowledge, all that conversation will help you learn and understand the market. So what you can do is maybe open up your phone and there's a little gear icon you can hit that'll speed it up. So it'll go maybe at 125% so you can get through it faster and just listen, just have conversations. And then that'll make you a better investor because it'll sink into your subconscious. Okay. And so anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take off. We've done an hour. We've had a lot of a good conversation today. Reminder: if you want to join us for tonight's event at in the Stock Market Decoded event, which is where literally I'm going to take all the myths about investing. I'm going to break them down one by one, and then afterward you can go take the exam and get a level 1 certification in stock market investing. You can go to just log in at the link I gave you. I'll put the link again in the chat, or you can also go to my website, boycewatkins.com, if you want to get a direct link to the program. But here's the link that for the students that are in the program. Remember, if you're in the Black Stock Market program, it's free. So when you log in at the blackstockmarketprogram.com and you go to the top of the curriculum section, the link is right there. You guys can join for free. It is a benefit of being in this program. Or and for those who are not in the program, you can just do a 30-day trial and you will get access to. The second thing I'll mention to you is that the Prime program, those of you that are in the stock options program, I'm going to hit you up again maybe in the next 2 or 3 days. I know Dr. Alicia is going to do a financial therapy session, not next week, but the following week. And also I'm going to connect with you about what's going on with the options market and ways to generate options income. And then last but not least, don't forget that the Forex event is going to happen September 2nd. That's on my website, boycewatkins.com. Now, someone asked, how is Dr. Anderson doing? Dr. Anderson's doing well. He actually told me yesterday that he wants to come to our Powernomics training on Wednesday night this week. So if you are in that program, or if you're not in it, you can go to blackkeystogreatness.com. I'll put the URL in the chat too. That's blackkeystogreatness.com. And it gives you free. Now, this is free. This is something that we offer for free in the Black Business School. And we've done this for hundreds of thousands of people because we believe deeply that when you understand economics, you have to understand it differently if you're Black. And you have to understand it in a way that's going to lead to maximal benefit for yourself, for your family, and for the community. Powernomics is one of the key foundational elements of what we teach. So that's why Dr. Anderson is such an important part of our faculty, because we consider Powernomics to be one of the critical readings of every young Black child in America. So if you haven't gotten a copy of their book, go to powernomics.com and you can get a copy there. And also on Wednesday nights, we're going through Powernomics word by word, line by line, paragraph by paragraph. I've done over 100 lectures on Powernomics every Wednesday. Again, it's free to the public, so bring your whole family. And what this does is it just gives you a framework. Remember that when you talk about learning about something like investing, there's the what and then there's the why, right? The what is how do you do it? How do you make money? How does wealth work and all that other stuff? That's the what. I got the what covered all the way to the end of time. But the why is more important than the what. The what is like the I don't know, the what is like the beautiful car that you design that'll get you down the road. The why is the engine that drives that car. You cannot go down the road if you do not have an engine. So The why comes from Powernomics. It's like, okay, why is it important for Black people to understand wealth? Why is it important that we overcome generational curses? Why is it that we understand how the racial inequality and the wealth gap and everything fits into what we're trying to do? Why is it important for us to rebuild our families and our communities in order for us to prosper? So Powernomics is important. So that is the one program that is free. It'll always be free. Dr. Anderson's going to join us tomorrow night, and I think it's worth your time to consider. Please feel free to just take a look. And again, that's another one. Everything is recorded, and you can check that out too. So anyway, that's it, guys. So we have a lot of stuff going on, and we try to keep you guys fully engaged with Black wealth and Black economics in the Black Business School because number one, we enjoy the idea that we want to be the number one Black wealth source on the entire planet. We focus on Black people, Black wealth. That's it. Black, 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 black. That's it. All of our energy, all of our intellectual resources are focused on that one key area. And then also, we believe, we know, we don't just believe, we know that we're better than any university on the planet when it comes to Black wealth and teaching Black people why we have to focus on things in a certain way. So we got a lot of other good stuff coming. We're partnering with a lot of great people. And also at the All Black National Convention, we have people like billionaire Mike Roberts is coming by. He's going to be there with dropping gems of wisdom. Herb Strather, who's done over $1 billion in real estate deals, is joining us at the convention. He's out of Detroit. The former CEO and the current chairman of the Air Jordan brand, Larry Miller, is coming to the convention. He's going to drop gems on how he took Michael Jordan's brand to the next level. Because remember, when he took over the Air Jordan brand, Michael Jordan's brand was making about $300 million a year. Now, when he retired, they were making $3 billion a year. In fact, they were so big that Nike became concerned that this little Black section of the Nike brand was becoming bigger, as big as Nike itself. So Larry Miller is going to be there. He's a great guy. He's B1. He's somebody that we consider qualified to be invited to the convention. A lot of people we didn't invite, we didn't want. We don't care if you're on TV or you're famous or whatever. If you can't add value to solving the problem that we need to solve as a community, then we don't really see the need in talking. You can go and talk to white people if you want to. And no disrespect to anyone, but we just really need to know, what are you specifically doing specifically for Black people and Black families? That's our measuring stick in our meetings when we're talking about who we want to invite and who we don't want to invite. So anyway, the convention is October 28th through the 30th. It's in Charlotte, North Carolina. You can go to boycewatkins.com to get a link to the convention. And also, I'll give you a couple of URLs if you want to be a vendor. You can go to abncvendors.com. I'll put that link in the chat, abncvendors.com. So if you have a Black-owned business and you want to sell your wares at the convention, that's where you would go. Also, if you when you get your hotel, it's going to be at the downtown Sheraton in Charlotte, North Carolina. That is an expensive hotel. It's $300 a night. We got a special rate of $136. Do not pay the full rate. Just go to abnchotel.com. And the rate is there, or you can just call them and tell them you're with the convention. Okay, I hope that answers your question. And just in case you don't know, if you watch me a lot, you're going to notice I repeat these things 1,000 times. That's because when you're talking to hundreds of thousands of people, you have to constantly repeat yourself. So I hope it's okay that I repeat myself because I have to make sure the information gets there and it gets out there and all that good stuff. Okay, all right. So it was great talking to you. I hope that this conversation benefited you. I hope we all learned something today. Happy investing. The market's a little bit ugly right now, but this is your chance. If you have some extra cash, this is a great time to put some money in those high quality stocks, because again, remember, the sun will eventually come out, and when it comes out, you're going to be feeling good. So you pay the price now, and then you get to feel good later. So I want to just encourage you, don't be scared. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. We got you. All right, guys, please have a good day, and God bless you, and I'll see you all soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.